Good evening. So, today I want to talk about when you feel shit. And sometimes you assume that it can be something not going right in your life. But it's not always that simple, because there are two very different reasons as to why you might generally not be feeling great. Now, I'm not going to go into all the ins and outs, but one of them is a very good sign. One of them is a very, very, very good sign. And the other one is quite difficult to recognize when you're in it. So I've been on both sides a lot, and I do feel like it's very easy to get confused. So let's talk about the difference. And I'm also, at the same time, going to be enjoying a homemade dessert and some dark chocolate, because I've earned it. So let me just adjust this round so I can see what I need to see. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so the first one, we'll start off with the heavier of the two. Basically, you're stuck. You are going through the motions. There's nothing new and exciting happening in your life. You probably feel very flat, maybe overwhelmed. You might even want to use the word depressed. And I say that because it's one possibility rather than you are depressed. This dessert is really fighting its way to not be eaten. My lord. That was so worth the struggle. With this, you also avoid challenge. You shy away from things that feel difficult in the moment. And you kind of just revert back to like old behaviours. Like you're in on default. You're not going out of your way to look for something new, to look for a challenge, or you're not trying to find something that excites you. It's more of just about, I suppose, like survival. That's way too messy to eat. It like needs my 100% attention. So like an example, I spent years in this kind of a place. Like where you kind of got a vision of what you could be, but then you can see exactly who you are in the moment. And it's very overwhelming when you kind of don't want to look at what your potential is, It's very difficult. And this is when, smoking, drinking, going out and partying, or staying in and chilling, doing all of the stuff that comes with that. Watching hours and hours and hours of TV, playing video games, just kind of killing time, You don't want to, you haven't got the energy, you haven't got the drive, you haven't got the passion and the confidence to actually go and fucking do something. I've spent years doing that, and I only really, genuinely, properly got out of it, I'd say about 2 years ago, 18 months to 2 years ago. Now, leading up to that point, it probably, say about 4 to 4.5 years ago from now, I made a change and I started the process off of becoming that person. It takes time. You don't just wake up one day and have excess energy and, have clear thoughts, and you've got a clean body, and you've got a structure, and you're organised, and you've got a work schedule that works with you. You don't just wake up one day and make that happen. It takes time. So I've definitely lived on both sides, and I've done everything, all of the things above, including some other things that we don't really need to talk about on the internet right now. So I think, you know, if you can sort of resonate with being in that situation, or you have been in it at some point, I think it's really important that you understand that it's not about shame. It's not about feeling guilty. It's about understanding that if you recognize that, it's saying that you need to have a shift. There needs to be a change. And the most difficult part about the entire thing is realizing that you actually want to make a change. So good news is, if you feel like this is you and you don't like it anymore, then you've done the hard bit by being able to reflect and understand where you're at, okay? So that's the first reason why I think people generally, on a meta sort of big reason, kind of feel a little bit thumbs down. Second reason, this is a little bit more like, say, if you're feeling a little bit more overwhelmed and tired, a little bit uncertain. You might feel like your friends aren't clicking as well. Maybe your relationship, you're noticing a few little things. You're wanting to keep distance away from certain people. Maybe, you know, you feel a little bit anxious about the future. All this kind of stuff. And generally, I feel like this is because things are technically getting better internally. Like, you're improving, you've made a shift somewhere, you've got a better perspective, you've raised your standards. Any number of those, or any combination of those, could be kicking off in the background, and you start to feel like your circumstances, your environment, the people that you're surrounded by, even the hobbies that you do and the activities that you do aren't serving you, and you're kind of hungry for more. I'm definitely well into that now, and I feel like I've been in here for quite a while, and once you've spent a certain amount of time here, you naturally start to gravitate towards the things that are actually going to put you where you want to be. Like, you stop wanting to hang around with low energy people. You stop wanting to do like just bad activities, you know, the stuff that's just not good for you. You want to go to the gym, you want to go out hiking, rather than sitting and eating a family-sized bag of Doritos that was very easily doable, and like 2 bars of chocolate like that every single night. You eat homemade chocolate, gluten-free cake, and homemade raspberry jam that's got no processed sugar in, and that much dark chocolate. And this is a treat. This isn't a normal everyday thing. This is like, I'm having a treat tonight. You just naturally take care of yourself in your brain, in your mind, in your heart, in your emotions. Like, you don't take shit from people. You don't accept bad relationships. You don't let people guilt trip you into spending time with them. You don't say yes just because you feel like you should. You know, you start and look for opportunities and people that you actually want to go and do and spend time with. And I feel like when you're in that position where everything on the external is not quite where you feel that you want it to be from an internal standpoint, it feels weird. There's a lot of change needed to be done, and it can almost feel like quite isolating. You can feel a little bit like alienated. You can feel very exhausted, you know, trying to keep up with all of that while trying to figure out where you're going to, and like your place in all of this, and understanding the big picture is very tiring. So if you need to rest, if you need to like take time with yourself, it's a very good idea to listen to that. Very good idea. I know for me, food was a big one. Food was the last one. It was also the most difficult, because, like, you know, you can have, you know, flings with people that you know you shouldn't. You know, like, it's really obvious when, you know, you go out and party too much and you're doing all of the stuff that comes along with party lifestyle. That's obvious, you know. But when you're eating like processed food every day, and you can get access to it whenever you want, nobody kind of matters, and you put a little bit of weight on, you stop going to the gym quite as much, and bro, after like 2.5, 3 years of doing that, you'll notice a difference. Oh my days, that's so good. Now, I think the main take home from this is that whenever you feel pain, like whenever something feels like really bad, it's like super important that you register that it means that a change is needed, you know? I think generally speaking, if you're stuck, if you feel like something needs to change and you feel overwhelmed, remember that the small steps can be so important. Like even just getting up, like do everything exactly the same. If you want to eat like shit, you want to have like flings with people that aren't good for you, you want to watch loads of bad TV, you hate your job, carry on doing everything the same. Just go for a walk a few times a week, or one day a week. Don't eat any bad food. Just whole foods, fruits, rice, meats, water. No fizzy pop. No bullshit. Just one day a week. Just get that routine in, and after a little bit, your energy will get better. You'll have more capacity to do more, and you'll have also built in a routine and a little bit of a habit as well. It all comes back to habits. If you're growing and you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, a little bit alienated, remember that growth is painful and it's a long process. So you don't have to make loads of changes all at once. You're not failing because you need to have a rest. And this is all stuff that I have to say to myself as well. So whether you're stuck in a situation, whether you're evolving, just don't judge yourself by how you feel. Just like actually listen to how you feel, and maybe you'll be able to start and navigate that a little bit better. And I think God damn, that's good. I think one final note is like, don't give a shit what other people think, Like, when I realised that subconsciously I cared so much about what people thought about me, and I was allowing that to affect my decisions and where I went, who I spent time with, what I said yes to. Like today, I woke up. Let me take a look. So this morning, I woke up at 5:30. I left the house about 6:10. My phone's now decided to stop working. Anyway, fantastic. I left the house about 6:10. Started work around 6:30. I left work around 5 p.m. Came home, had a little bit of food, did a little bit of editing, had a sauna session, finished the sauna at about 8:30 p.m. Come home again, put my sauna stuff to dry, sorted out my meal prep for tomorrow, and at the time right now it is 9:36 p.m. and I'm waking up at about 6:30 tomorrow. And once upon a time, like, I would have finished work, come straight home with about 2,500, 3,500 calories of junk food, and just sat and watched Netflix for like 6 hours. and then woke up tomorrow feeling like shit. Absolutely dopamine through the floor, and then hated being at work, just looking forward to whatever bullshit activity I was hoping to do when I finished work to then start off that cycle again. And it's not fucking easy, you know, when you've been brought up around people that do that and that have that mechanism inside of them, whether it's through, you know, porn, whether it's through sex, whether it's through fucking arguing, being in toxic relationships, whether it's through alcoholism, drug abuse, food, TV, whatever it is. If you subconsciously have that in you and it feels normal to do that, then it's going to take a big fucking effort to get rid of it. But it's worth it. Like, how proud of I am of myself for the person that I've become. Like, it's taken years of reflection and feeling like I'm not doing enough, feeling like I'm doing too much, feeling burnt out, seeing my potential and not living up to it and trying to avoid it and just going round in circles. But every time you go around in a circle, you learn a little bit. So, you know, be patient, take your time, know what you want, learn to enjoy things and put your food down, even something as small as that, you know, rather than eating all of it at once. Can you take a bite of something and put it down? Can you bite a piece of chocolate and put the other piece back without wanting to just consume, you know? When you can do stuff like that, I think it's like just self-control, and then it just feeds back into itself, you know? So, yeah. I hope this gives you permission to take some space for yourself and reflect on where you are, what you want to do, and then like genuinely realize the beauty in taking responsibility for where you're at. Don't get overwhelmed by it, you know, step by step. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of this and the rest of that, and I'll see you soon.